explain it a little better. So that is the approval for me to sign an agreement with Local Government Services LLC to negotiate and draft agreements or amendments for franchise agreements. What that is, if y'all will remember back year and a half ago, we hired Greg Fender. He's an expert on franchise agreements across the state of Mississippi and other states. He's the one who originally negotiated our C-Spire contract, and we currently have the strongest C-Spire agreement in the state of Mississippi, thanks to him. Y'all hired him to come back and audit that contract, and he was able to obtain about $50,000 in arrears that C-Spire owed us, and he convinced him to pay his fee, so we didn't pay him anything last time. I don't think that'll happen this time, but he's looked at our Comcast agreement that is expired, and we're asking him to look at the Atmos agreement that's expired. However, we're both still operating month to month under those agreements, but he thinks that based on other Comcast agreements in the state, we have the opportunity to possibly be reaping an extra of approximately $100,000 a year on just that Comcast contract. So we would need to hire him and sign this contract in order for him to negotiate on our behalf and represent us, because quite frankly, those contracts are squirrely and they have their own experts. They understand them and we don't. So hiring our own expert would be the thing to do. So anybody want to ask questions about that or talk more about it?
I just asked that we separate it just because it was kind of vague and nobody really knew what it meant to the city money-wise.
Absolutely.
And that's the only reason why I said let's separate it, because it's a legal contract and it's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo that nobody really understands what it means to us as the city. Gives us a little more control when these folks come in and they start boring out in right-of-ways and stuff like that, that we have to be made aware and other things like that. So that's the only reason why I separated it, so people could understand a little more detail what it meant to us in a positive way.
Absolutely.
So that's
And just
all
as
I
a
had to say.
reminder, I put things on the consent agenda because I'm making an assumption that there are things that probably won't need much discussion. But if anyone ever asks to pull it off, that's kind of a no questions asked. I'll pull it off on the main agenda, because obviously at that point somebody does want to discuss it. So that's how we operate the consent agenda. If y'all ever see something y'all want to discuss, do like Alderwoman Ross did today and just call and we'll move it right onto the agenda. So would anybody like to make a motion on that item?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
So motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Can I have a motion on the personnel docket?
Motion approved.
Just one question, that just for my own benefit. Okay, I see that now. So we added the other wasn't taken off, they just dropped it down a little bit further, okay. No problem, I see it.
Okay. Was there a motion and a second on that one?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And that motion passes. Item 10 comes out of the Parks and Rec Capital Committee meeting. It's requesting board approval to create the sports turf supervisor position within the Parks and Recreation Department. Jared, would you like to give a very brief synopsis of that? I know the members of the committee are fully aware, but we want to make sure everyone else is too.
Excuse me. I think that works. Does that work? Yep. All right, so I wanted to bring forth a recommendation, or a request rather, to create a sports turf supervisor position within the Parks and Recreation Department. This position, if approved, would be under the general supervision of myself, the Director of Parks and Recreation, direct and participate in the construction and maintenance of sports fields, related park amenities, supervise the operation, maintenance, repair of motorized vehicle, maintenance equipment, and render professional advice, opinions, and assistance to the service. Basically, so we will soon hopefully have the Civic Center fields, the soccer complex, and then also we do have the football field, Kirkendall Park, which has potential to be a improved as an athletic facility. Looking for someone to be able to develop those as needed for sport turf use, and for who has experience in that with baseball and softball fields as well. Those are kind of different animals with dirt, who can improve existing irrigation, construct new irrigation, basically anything within the fences of those complexes. That's something we currently don't have a capability for, and it's on the heels of what was in the consent agenda for the consulting agreement with DD Recreation Consulting. So if approved to offer this position up, they would help in the process of hiring, interviewing, training this position, as well as current maintenance staff to bring them up to standards.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I feel like it's definitely something that's needed, especially with the added investment that we just made, obviously with the Civic Center ball fields and those coming under the city's purview. We need to try to do everything we can to get as much as we can out of those fields, in the short term. I think the soccer fields, if you're not aware, there's some soccer fields that stay wet almost year-round, especially during the season when it's not quite as hot. And there's just, there's ongoing issues that, parents are aware of. If your kids play sports, there's, kind of trouble areas that I think we can mitigate if we have somebody that just has consistent eyes on it, that has, maybe a little more training, a little more education on, that situation without us having to, go to a third party or go to, use professional services budget, have somebody in-house, to handle this.
Any other questions or concerns or a motion?
So move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next is item 11, requesting board approval to begin a partnership with the North Mississippi Disc Golf Club to assist in developing an 18-hole disc golf course at Renaissance Park at the recommendation of the Parks Capital Improvement Committee. We had, as y'all know, on the master parks plan, we had a 9-hole disc golf course drawn on there, and we had some people who do disc golf at a high level come to talk to us and tell us they wanted to help with their own labor and help us design a 18-hole. We brought Henry Minor into our committee meeting, who drew all that. He said it's doable. So we're basically just requesting board approval to begin a partnership with them so that they can work with Henry Minor on a design of an 18-hole course and be part of the labor that helps us when we build that thing. When we talked to them, they brought some knowledge to us that I didn't know, that a 9-hole course is just kind of okay. People who really want to play disc golf want an 18-hole course. They would get burned out on the 9-hole course pretty quickly. So I feel like it's kind of like the skate park. We kind of let the skate park people advise us on how to build it, and it's become one of the greatest skate parks in the Mid-South because we listen to experts. So I think that's what we're doing here with the disc golf. Any comments, concerns, or a motion?
So moved.
Second.
The motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next is the donations docket, item 12.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next is a check request to David Roberts for $900 Gale Center refund that did not meet the claims docket deadline.
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next, Bridget wants to come up and make a presentation about the hospital wing.
Thank you for allowing me to come. So one thing I'd like to talk about is cost. Healthcare cost and the problem. What is the problem with healthcare most of the time? Cost. I'm Bridget Floyd. I'm with Air Medcare Network. You may know me better by the hospital wing or area life team. We have bases at Batesville, along with Oxford, Memphis, Muscle Shoals, etc. We are a network of providers. We provide emergency care and transport to our sick and our injured. We are the largest air ambulance transport network. We have 320 bases, 38 states, and we offer a membership program. And our membership program, why does it matter that you're members? Well, our members pay zero out of pocket if they are flown by one of our providers. There's no copay, no insurance. You don't even have to have medical insurance. If you are a member, you're covered. We offer business plans to our cities, and we would like to partner with your city to offer our business plans at a discounted rate. Our rates start at $75 a year, and that's for each employee. Our city departments of the fire department, our police department, those are our valuable assets, our employees are. We want to make sure they're protected. And this membership, it does include the entire household. So with one membership, you get the entire household that is covered under that plan. And I've left pamphlets up there that you can just look at. Those are our individual membership pamphlets, and the structure of our business plan is a little different, but pretty much the same low cost. So that is what I would like to do, is just propose a plan that works with your city so that we can get our police department, our fire department, all of our employees covered.
I think the last person we had airlifted that was an employee was in Public Works, weren't they, Julie? Last year. So how does this work? Do the employees pay for that benefit themselves? Does the city usually pay a bulk rate? How does it generally work when cities do this?
So with the plan, I've talked to the police department and the fire department. They have around 50 employees, 51 employees. So with our business plan, just to have our fire department, our police department, our utility, each department, you're looking at around $3,700 a year. And that protects them and their entire family. So the plans, we also offer payroll deduct. We can do a payroll deduct to where it's affordable for bi-weekly or monthly. We also offer monthly plans, monthly rates. And you can see as far as the senior rates there, anywhere from $7.99 a month. So if you are a member with our service, you get a stickers and a card that will identify and let you know that, you know, we are a part of Air Medicare Network. So if you were transferred to a hospital and you require transfer out to another level hospital and you're a member with us, you're out, zero out of pocket. So what I would like to do is just make sure that our community has this coverage available. Let's offer it and let them decide, or the city decide, if they want to offer this to the city.
So we could do one of two things. We could, with board direction, make it a payroll deduction available to the employees to pay themselves, or the city could pay a bulk rate and cover them if we
Right.
added the budget.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's 75 per employee?
Yes, sir. And that covers their entire household for the $75 a year.
If the city were to pay that, I've got a lot of technical questions because I haven't talked to you about it.
Absolutely.
But if the city were to pay it, you know, we change employees a lot. Do we have to add the new name every time we get a new employee or drop one?
So there's different plans that you can get. You can do a group plan to where the city, if you staff 200 employees and you know that it takes 200 city employees to run Hernando, then you purchase 200 spots. You own those spots. The city would own those spots. So when an employee is covered, when they come into work and say after 3 months, 4 months, they decide that they want to leave, well, you already own the spot. So you would have, your next employee would take over their membership.
Okay.
And they would have the opportunity as well to continue the coverage.
Okay.
Is there any savings for the city to do it in a single payment? Did you mention that and I missed it?
So what we like to offer, just, the pricing is, you're pretty much getting it at a senior rate. So that, your 25-year-olds that are there, you're pretty much getting it at a senior rate by doing a business plan. So with our business plan, we would sign City of Hernando up, and we would have a plan code that we would use, so that everyone that is employed here would get the same discounted rate.
Okay.
So I think that's something that we could ask Julie, our HR director, to work with you on some exact pricing and what that might look like, so that this board can have it to consider as we do our budget. We obviously don't have budget room for it at the moment, but in the upcoming budget years, and we're going to be talking about our budget tonight and things we want to do in it. So I think that's something for this board to consider in the upcoming budget. If you'll just stay in touch with Pam and Julie and get some really hard numbers down for what it would cost, so we can put those in front of the board to make a decision.
I have one question, and, well, it might be just for clarity then. If we do a group packet without the city paying, but the employees paying, will they still get the $79?
They would get the $75, yes. So as long as we had the business plan, with the business plan, the City of Hernando.
So it wouldn't make no difference who's paying?
No, it would still be under your plan code for the city.
Is it like insurance then? It'd be whether they want to take it or not. Which would be more cost efficient for the city, and they make a determination whether they want to take it or not themselves.
And it's portable if they leave employment.
Right. If you own the plan, like I said, if you have 100 employees, you keep that.
Yeah.
But the employee that leaves would still have the opportunity to
Pay it on their own,
to
yeah.
keep the service, or not. But it would put it more on the person itself to know whether or not they want to be offered this at this special price.
Yeah, it may usually offered when everybody enrolls in healthcare as an additive.
I think it gives us something to consider. So if you'll stay in touch with Julie and make sure we have some hard numbers, and Julie can give us those as we start pondering the budget.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for coming to us.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to item 15. Chief, would you like to say something about item 15 on Cape and Drive and the speed limit?
When the road was created, there was no speed limit allotted to that. We've had some complaints from AWG on speeding, so we need to investigate.
And in your professional opinion, that's the limit it should be?
25.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 16 is to authorize to publish the approved sign ordinance amendment summary in the DeSoto Times pursuant to state statute 27-17-19. That was the one about our street signs, and we just have to publish it, and y'all have to authorize that.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 17 is the approval of the MOU between the Police Department and Homeland Security to designate certain employees as customs officers, accepted Title 19 task force officers to perform the duties as noted in the MOU without additional compensation. Is there a motion on that item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 18 is the approval of the interlocal agreement with DeSoto County for the county tax assessor and collector to collect ad valorem taxes for the cities in DeSoto County. Stephen, would you like to present that to the board?
Sure. Everyone has the proposed MOU. The numbers that are included there are all commensurate for each municipality. They're all increasing. Ours is commensurate to what we were paying before. This is all in response to, the situation with Mr. Treadway and the need to, first to compensate him more and to do it in a reasonable fashion, and so this is what's being proposed to be. Did I not- let me say all that again.
You might need to, just since we're
Yeah.
broadcasting this, yes. Make sure everyone can hear what we're doing.
Okay, so everyone, all of the board has the proposed amended MOU, and on the fifth page, you'll see that the fees that Hernando will be paying. Each municipality is proposing to increase their fees that are paid for the collection of our taxes to Mr. Treadway's office. And so this is all being done, and there's no greater increase for the city of Hernando than there is for any other municipality. And so it's being proposed to be approved by our board and then to be presented to the board of supervisors for approval. And it's in response to Mr. Treadway, his letter stating that he needed to be paid more money, and so this is what that is.
And to be very clear, the agreement is not between us and the collector and assessor, but between us and DeSoto County.
That's correct. And there's no signature line for the assessor either.
Do you know how?
Go ahead, Ben.
Do you know how these final fee numbers were tabulated? Like there was a formula used, or?
No, there's no formula used. I think this board is familiar with discussions in this vein. I mean, this is not the first time that it's been discussed with this board. So there's no pat formula. It's just an attempt to pay some additional fees, you know, and it's not required. I mean, this board certainly doesn't have to agree to it. You could, you know, but it is an increase, and it's certainly not what Mr. Treadway is asking for, but it is a moderate increase for the growth that DeSoto County is experiencing.
I'm sorry.
Well, I just feel like in looking at these numbers that it is not reflective of the population differences between these cities.
Okay.
And so I don't feel like that part of it is something that I would be supportive of.
Yeah, I'm
So
not here to argue.
No, not, yeah, no, that's just
So
where I'm
those-
at.
Yeah, any comment, I mean, I would answer any questions
Right.
with regard to this if I can, but other than that, it's not a political issue for me.
Yep.
So essentially, it's 13,000 to each, the collector and the assessor, and then
Correct.
125,000 to the county in whole. And I believe we were paying 100, that's going up to 125. I think we were around 8,500, now we're 13 and some. So it's about a 5,000 each way. Is that right?
That is correct, yes.
And to collect taxes ourselves would be quite a bit more money than that, so.
To have that discussion, certainly, to recreate the wheel in that regard. Not getting into any legalities or what would need to be done if this is not approved or it becomes an impasse between the municipalities and Mr. Treadway. That's a whole different ball of wax that's not before this board tonight.
I will say that since the agreement was first entered into, the number of parcels
Sure,
being
absolutely.
assessed in Hernando are many hundreds or even thousands more than they were at the time being collected.
Yeah.
And the number of automobiles being collected, so forth and so on.
What I was gonna speak earlier, I'm in agreement with Alderman Wicker that based upon history and everything else, before we start doing this, there's no way we could afford to do this at that price in-house. I mean, and then plus be efficient too. No way.
And quite frankly, there is no one on our staff that knows how to collect
Well, I'm just
taxes.
saying, we
That's
couldn't
the
be,
reality.
even if we had to hire somebody, it still wouldn't be as cost effective. inefficient.
We'd have to hire multiple people, buy software. It would be a big undertaking.
Yeah, so all those considerations are important, but to answer Mr. Piper's question, if you're opposed to it, then certainly you can vote that way, but it could be more, it could be zero, no increase, so that's just where that stands.
Mr. Pittman, this is kind of a fruit of you guys negotiating with the other city attorneys and the county attorney, is that correct?
Yeah, it's not really negotiation, it was just discussion, what we, thought would be reasonable.
I think it's very reasonable.
And it's, it's already a consideration for Hernando being a smaller municipality. Walls is even smaller, and you'll see that, again, as I said, it's commensurate to what we were already paying in relation to the increases for each municipality.
And of course, if y'all authorize this, it will obviously, somebody's got to sign the other end of the contract, so we still haven't seen the county approve it. So if they approve it, then it will go into effect and we'll sign it. If they don't, then it'll be a moot point.
Any more questions?
Is there a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement with DeSoto County for the county tax assessor and county tax collector to collect ad valorem taxes for the city and DeSoto County.
Second. You.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
The motion passes. Okay, item 19. We are in budget season. We have an item on here to discuss the fiscal year 24 budget priorities. And in front of you, there is a budgetary process that Pam had put together for us that kind of shows the calendar of how we were proposing to do things. And all of the department heads have a budget worksheet in their hands. So it would be very helpful to us and to everybody, to the board members, for us to talk about some main priorities, which will help us as we go through the process. So Alderman Piper called me about adding this to the agenda, and I thought it was a good idea. So Alderman Piper, you want to start off?
Yeah, I think that just through the first two budget processes, the first budget is obviously a very truncated timeline that you're working under because you're sworn in early July. You're kind of, drinking through a fire hose a little bit just in understanding what the budget is and some of the intricacies that this city may have that others may not. But, through last year, I think there was times where whether there was questions that needed to be answered or there was other options to look at or whatever it may be. And then also looking upon kind of like the ideal timeline that the Mississippi Municipal League has thrown out there. I think we wanted to kind of lengthen this timeline a little bit more to take more time to look at things because it's certainly an undertaking to whether you're looking at payroll or you're looking at whatever projects we want to consider for the next year. Moving those numbers around does take time, and it adds to the workload of the city clerk and the administration. So I think that's why we wanted to begin the discussions now. Additionally, I think that there is somewhat of a consensus, it seemed like, to look at focusing on the contingency, to have a stronger contingency or rainy day fund for the city. I think that's something that everybody would like to prioritize, but everybody can certainly speak for themselves there. I think that's something that we must do so that we have the ability to protect the livelihoods of the people who work for the city and also, just look after taxpayer dollars. And, that would be a figure I would like to see the city have at least 10% of whatever its annual budget is, put behind in a contingency fund. Now, whether that can be done in one budget year or 3 budget years, that needs to be figured out. But that would certainly be a priority of mine. And then additionally, looking at of course, the paving budget. I know everybody figured I'd bring that up at some point. So looking at that, whether it is flat or it's going to be increased more. I think last year I would have really liked to see about 2.2 to 2.5 million spent on neighborhood streets, and I would like that as a goal again. I think we all see that we're behind still on that. We've spent a lot to get there. We've had to deal with, rising gas prices, oil prices, and some other economic factors that we couldn't possibly have anticipated. So that would be another, I think, potential goal to have within this budget.
I would say from staff perspective, there are two pretty major things that we need to work into a budget, and we usually are hashing the most major one out at the last minute, which is payroll increases. And the first one, Alderman Piper touched on, was the contingency. If we knew the contingency numbers we were trying to get at, and we knew a proposed pay rate increase, and we plugged those in first, then we can build a budget around those, because those are both pretty major.
I think the idea was 6 months, wasn't it?
Of a contingency.
6 months operating.
Operating.
Yeah.
That's the goal, and what we'll do is we look at what we have now, and then ask, this is in line with what Alderman Piper is saying, that we know that we ain't gonna get to that 6-month window in this budget year, but take the number we have and make sure that we plug in 10%. I'm just using the number, whatever number we use, that we plug in that month, that number every year until we get where we are. And then the next thing is that, and this is, it's incumbent on the department heads, we sit in a lot of time, we tell the department head that we want you to present us with a flat budget. Well, a flat budget to me do not include capital improvements. A capital improvement is a one-time expenditure. So a flat budget is minus the capital improvement. If we tell the department head, okay, you got a 5% increase in your budget. There again is a 5% increase minus the capital improvement. Because it always amazed me, and I shared this one Alderman, I ain't gonna call his name, but it always amazed me at the end of the year, when we get down, somebody wants to do something, some department will say, well, I got some money left over. But when you appeared before me during the budget process, you were sweating money. But ain't it amazing, you 9 months into the budget, you got all this money left. So I'm wondering, was the budget inflated? That's just me wondering like that. I think kind of weird anyway, but it really amazed me though. We sweating money, that we got to have this money, but then 9 months in, oh man, I can do this because I got money left over. I be want to know what happened anyway, so I'm gonna be, hey, let the shoe fall where it fit.
Ms. Pam, when do we get some hard revenue numbers for the property taxes? Is that July 1st, I believe? Does that sound right? July 31st, or from the tax assessor's office?
More like August.
August, okay. And last year, we got a significant increase, I think like 6-7%. Are we expecting something similar?
About 7.5.
Are we expecting similar to that?
I feel like we are, because we had quite a few homes built that went on the tax rolls. I'm going to text Jeff Fitch real quick and see if he has an idea.
I think he said something about, I can't remember, July 1st or July 31st, but he may not send it to you till somewhere. I think they finalize it on that date, so.
Yeah, we get the preliminary a little early, and we can almost count on the preliminary.
And are we expecting I guess, dramatic increase in headcount? I know we've done that over the last couple of years, pretty regular to the fire and police department. Are we, I guess?
We haven't.
That may be a question for
We haven't
these
talked
guys.
about that yet. They haven't presented we've given them their budget worksheets, but we haven't had the conversations. We're planning on doing that in the next 2 weeks.
I'm going to echo the contingency fund importance. I would like to see a significant, strides towards the 6 months.
I will say that just the general fund, that's the only number I have in front of me. Our first budget we did as a board, it was $694,000. But we ate up some of that during the year with some emergency monies that were spent. This year, we've got $807,000 in contingency. And kind of following those numbers, $1 million in contingency seems like a good number to shoot for this year. That's just my thought. I know we've got 7 other opinions here.
We have to consider the park improvements, I guess, buying the ball fields. We're gonna, I don't know what that payment is a year gonna be, but,
It's 4,200 a month approximately.
And that's just the general fund
That's the general
contingency.
fund.
That's not the
That's not all the other
utility,
funds.
the utility fund, and
Right.
to me, it almost all needs to be rolled up into one.
Can't roll the others up.
I mean, I know, I'm just saying if the contingency needs to be, you need to have a 10% contingency in each one, correct?
And it could be that we just, the board can say, look, let's try to increase the contingency across the board in every fund by a certain percentage as we're working towards that.
if I remember correctly, utility fund's pretty flush, is it not?
Yeah.
We've been spending a whole lot out of there on drainage,
Yes.
but lots of drainage.
And we get another of that infrastructure improvement money in July, is that right? Does that sound about right?
Yeah,
From the state,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's been averaging $500,000 or $600,000.
about $1 million a year.
Oh, okay.
About $1 million a year, not each.
Yeah,
$1
but
million.
500,000 or 600,000 a time.
Right.
I think we need to make the parks a priority. I mean, I think we had talked about it in our little committee, doing some type of maybe a bond or something there to address some of those concerns. I think you had mentioned something about getting some bond numbers to see what that would cost.
You think we could move up when it says just having the public hearing? Because, I mean, we're going to be hashing everything out, maybe a little sooner, maybe a week or two sooner than that, so we could not run out of time?
Pam, I'm looking at you on that
Well,
one.
that's the required date.
That's the required
I
date?
mean, we can have meetings as we go.
Pretty
That's
flexible.
the public hearing.
You
Okay.
can call a meeting whenever you want.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like we kind of run out of time if we want to see things done a different way, just like Ben said. Just this staffing,
Like I said, the biggest thing,
Needs and
if we, instead of it being a proposal, I think that this board needs to, adopt this as a guidelines for the work toward, instead of just being proposal, and let it be hard facts.
Yeah.
Then that, I mean, and that, I think that'll give us more room, Alderman Ross, like you saying, more time. And we put a proposed timeline out there and we stick to it. This is what it's gonna be.
yeah.
Mayor, have we got any type of resolution on the PERS issue? I know there was an increase proposed, and they think they put
Yes.
that off a year or something.
It looks like,
I've heard of 2% is what I've heard.
yeah, in this budget year, they're talking about doing 2%, but it doesn't come effective until the last quarter. So we'd have a 2% increase for that quarter. The following year, and then that 2% obviously would carry on.
From July
And
to
then
September.
another 2% in the last quarter of the next year, and then the last 1.2 or 1.3% in the following year. So it will be going up to the full percentage increase they were asking for, but this budget year will hit 2% of the last quarter. That's what the proposal is. The legislature still has to pass it this next legislative session, but right now, that's the best information we have.
Still no talk about increasing the employee
It appears that
contribution
there is a statute that doesn't allow any more to be put on the employees.
past the 9%.
Right, this is topped out at the 9%, so any increase would be on the taxpayers. But who knows what the legislature will do? We're just kind of having to assume based on the information we have today.
So that
I think
increase,
all the cities will be making that same assumption
Yeah,
in
and
their
the
budget.
county, every public employee,
Yeah.
school, the board, so.
So we're
Alderman
going to
Piper,
put that
I'm
in
sorry.
our budget, just in hopes?
Just-
Sound like they're
Because
gonna
we're going
phase
to
it over.
prepare for it, for the
Phase it
2%?
Over a couple budget periods, is what it sounds like.
if it's just the last quarter, that should be like 0.5%, so it'd probably be like 50,000 based on a 10 million payroll that we could count on as an increase, plus whatever else has been added to the budget since last year. Okay. But then the following year,
It'll be the whole year.
2.5%, so it would be 250,000 for fiscal
Right.
year '24. Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
And I know it's a sore subject sometimes, but I'll go back to what I said the priorities are. You know, last year we gave a 5% raise to the employees, but the cost of living was over 8%. So we did the best we could, but I think we really need to think about what we're going to do this year. We have to keep our employees. We have to make them able to feed their families. We don't want them to leave to go to Olive Branch or South Haven, and they don't want to leave to go to Olive Branch or South Haven. But that's the reality is we're in the same county, and we're not going to top what South Haven or Olive Branch do, but we need to stay at least competitive with it. So I think we need to be thinking towards a good pay increase for the employees because they're the ones that keep us working every day.
Well, I know it may be difficult to do it this way, or it may require time, but that's certainly something we have now. And we've talked around, you know, a dollar figure raise, you know, potentially in the past, whether it's $1,500 or whatever the amount is for hourly employees, because it's more substantial compared to a percentage, right? And then considering a percentage for salaried employees, that would be more, you know, potentially in line, or just doing a dollar figure across the board. I feel like when we look at percentages, it can be a little lost. You know, a 2% raise for someone making $12.30 an hour. I mean, you're talking 24 cents.
You're right. A percentage
So, I mean,
raise does affect the higher earners at a higher dollar amount.
Right.
And the PERS isn't that going to be a 5% built-in raise over the next 2 years or whatever you just said?
Yeah, the next 3 years, yeah, so that'll be
Yeah.
going up. Alderman Miller, back on the calendar, the one that we put in front of y'all, does this look like one y'all could adopt, or did you want to,
No, I'm just saying, whatever we do, just, I think we need to go and adopt.
that we all know, department
thank-
heads, staff,
yeah.
board members, we all know what we're doing.
Yeah, this is the first time since I've been on this board that this has been done. I think everybody, department head wise and the board, we kind of have an idea what dates, what our target dates are, but this is the first time that it's ever been presented to us.
We've been presented, but it never was adopted, because I was presented 3 or 4 times.
Well, I stand corrected then.
Yeah, but there wasn't nobody adopted. It definitely been.
I don't recall seeing anything like this.
Yeah.
Let me put it
And I'm
that way.
certainly for adopting it. You know, we all need to be held accountable and stick to a timeline that we can all agree on.
I mean, if everybody's good with this, I'll be happy to make a motion
Yeah,
to adopt these timeline here. Everybody good with those dates?
Yeah, that's a starting point.
Was that a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to adopt this timeline here, the proposed budget calendar as presented here.
Second. There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And y'all given me a couple ideas for us to get started with, and as we keep coming back to y'all, and each of you has your own priorities. Some of you call me more than others to give me your priorities, but keep putting the bugs in our ear of what you think you and other board members may be wanting, so we can consider those as we move forward with the budget.
But the main thing I said with any budget, the city got to must always,
Balance the budget at the end of the day.
no, the city got to, first of all, look at what the city was established to do. The priority that the city was established to do. And that's streets, water, and things like that. Everything else is luxury. Now, when we fail to do this basic stuff that we're required to do and do luxury items, that's the problem. Because you go and look at what you mandated to do by law, when we fail to do those things, just like we're talking about our roads, we didn't put enough money in our road because we did some luxury stuff. So we fail to provide the service that we mandated to do. And those should always take priority. Because it's by statute, if we look at it. That's what the city is supposed to do.
Okay?
Potholes and parks.
Yep. All right, y'all ready to move to the next item?
Ooh.
All right, the discussion of the ARPA projects. remind everybody of a little background. We applied for some ARPA projects. Everybody agreed on which ones we would apply for. We were awarded 2 of them. One of them. We were awarded 1 of them. Yep. And now we have been awarded all of them, and we asked for too many. And we did that on purpose because they told us we could, and they ended up funding everything up to your allotted match. So we are about $1.8 million above. Is that the number, Mike? Yeah, 1.9 million over what we're supposed to be at. So Mike is here with Pickering because they're the ones who applied for these projects on our behalf. So they're all listed there on your sheet. As y'all know, we have a slight chance of getting the Green Tea Sewer awarded through a STAG grant. I've talked to Senator Wicker's office and have not gotten a real good response on it. I'm not sure about Cindy Hyde-Smith's office. It was kind of a lukewarm response as well. And we know we're not getting that one through Trent Kelly's office. He's going to work on something different with us next year. However, if by some stroke of luck we did get Green Tea in the STAG grant, and we turned it down because we were doing it in this grant, we'd probably never get another one. So my thought is, in the big scheme of things, we need to do all these projects. Every one of them are important. I think we would all agree with that. So for at least one of them, we may have to borrow money at some point to do it. That's just the reality, you know. And in years past, we'd have been borrowing money to do most of these. We're just kind of lucky with the ARPA grant. So my recommendation would be that we pull the Green Tea Sewer project off and hope for the STAG grant. And if we don't get it, then when this board talks about getting some of the low interest rate money that the state has set aside for these type projects and just borrowing the money. So we wouldn't be saying we're not going to sewer Green Tea. We would be saying we may just have to do it from a different pot of funds.
But you don't feel like we're gonna get the other money?
I don't feel real good about it. I feel about 50%.
And when did the city annex Green Tea?
That's the oldest, Green Tea
It
is
is
the
the
oldest
oldest.
thing on, that's what I'm saying
That's
about.
right.
About doing what we're required to do
That's
as a
right.
city.
So, I mean, I don't mind if we take it off, but I want a commitment that we're gonna do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can you get a commitment that we're gonna do it if you take it off?
Yeah, I don't,
It's funded now.
Yeah, so,
Right now it's funded, and so if we defund it, so how can you give me a commitment that you defund me?
it was like you said, we'd have to borrow money to do it.
Well, so if we have to borrow money to do it, why don't you say that we're gonna borrow 1.9 and do everything?
It's the same
We
difference,
could.
because it's
But my
1.86.
point is though, I think that would be
Same thing.
counterproductive. We tell
3.86.
Green Tea that we're gonna take their project off, that we already done funded, and then go borrow money. So you can go on and take and borrow 1.9 and do everything. You finna borrow 1.8, if you finna say you're gonna go borrow 1.8 to do Green Tea.
Oh, you're saying go ahead and make a commitment to borrowing the money tonight. Is that what
Well,
you're
my
saying?
point is this, and if the other money come in, if it do happen to come in, it'll come in. If it don't, because we're not finna do, what's the timeline on doing these? With what we got now?
I think it's 3 years, yeah. And we'll be struggling to get them all done, but we're going to have to get them all done or we
Right,
lose the
that's what
money.
I'm saying, but I would hate to take the funding away.
But we got to take something off the ARPA match list.
Yeah, that's what he
When
said.
We
should
got to
we-
tell the state which projects we're taking off of their list.
When do you-
Not off of our list, but off of their list.
We would hear about the grant, the
Not
STAG.
till October or November, and we've got to let the state know pretty quick.
It's 3 years from when?
Mike, do you know how,
I don't know the exact date, but about now, when the funds are in place. Probably when the actual grant agreement is signed.
So that's the beginning of the 3 years that all these projects have to be completed.
Plus or minus, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
there is a lot of conjecture federally that they will extend the deadline, or almost have to, because there's no way all the projects federally can be done before the deadline. But we have to work with the rules that are in place right now.
Mayor, can you remind me what I guess it says Madison Lake Elevated Tank by Hellier Road, what is that project? Is that?
All right, that is the new water tank. Where we're talking about doing a water plant on Byhalia Road in the newly annexed 80 acres, and then connecting it to a water tower somewhere around Madison Lakes. We don't have a site yet. And that's the water that would supply all that area, plus the stuff north of 269.
But there's nothing there now.
Nothing at all.
How many people would be using that tank? Currently, like today, if it was there today?
If it's there today, not many, but there are a lot of developments waiting on it.
Right.
Madison Lakes can't be done without it. The new 80 acres can't be done without it. Eventually, we're going to have to run water to the new high school. It would come from this tower. Or to the new fields on the high school. It's weird, the high school is in Nesbitt water. The south end where all the fields are and the field house and all that are in Hernando water.
Well, the difference is not that much, and you can just bump green tea up to the top and hold it back on those other funds.
My point is, then I'm gonna say this, then no, I ain't gonna say I'm gonna be quiet, but anyway.
You ain't never been quiet.
No, I definitely didn't say that. Okay,
It's the same.
you still, if you take green tea off, you still got to borrow 100,000, right?
No, one
What?
point.
Oh, you're saying we're still 100,000 short?
You're
Yeah,
still
that's what I'm saying.
100,000 short.
Yeah.
I think I went to Hernando Central High School, I can add and subtract. Well, so anyway, so it's still gonna be short. So when you say they have to know? When you say they have to know?
Mike, do you remember?
I don't recall.
Okay, I'll give you a no here then. They got to know, so you got 1.988 up there, and we can take and look at pursuing that with a loan, doing that, and still be going towards the McInville and Byhalia thing out there. Oh, green tea ain't even on my ward, no, I shouldn't even be worried about it. But I'm just trying to think, to do the right thing.
So then if we by chance get the STAG grant, we'd have to turn it down. Because we'd already be funded through the ARPA match.
That's the thinking of taking green tea off. I'm assuming that's the thinking.
Yeah,
behind it.
just taking it off the ARPA match list, but not off of our to-do list. Not saying we're not doing it, because I don't want to look at anybody losing green tea and tell them we're not going to give them sewer. They deserve to.
first
I mean,
You know, we got a cap loan
That's what I was.
to extend that
we can.
sewer line from the soccer field up for Hernando West.
Ag loan from the
And we
federal
came in a
government. We have
little
to turn that
lower,
money down 'cause
I
it's
think,
free
on what we ended up financing on that
If we do
cap
get it, we
loan.
can do everything. I think it's.
We should have a little bit of money left there that we might can look at as a,
Chance we get this
It's
done.
already been finalized out. However, we can get
We could
other
get
cap
another one.
loans.
Could we
Yeah,
not get another
Those
one?
cap loans are, that's what this is for. Or, I mean, that's what they're for, these type projects.
Exactly. And
They're
they're-
easy for us to get.
2%.
They're usually about 2 to 3%, yep. But the state just needs to know which of these projects we're leaving on their
That's
list.
the only one that we're trying to get.
Our list and their list will be different.
Both of them,
We can't
they were
switch it
both
out.
rewarded. They were both awarded.
Okay, so could we start looking at pursuing, a loan for the other in case the other money didn't come through?
Yes. And I will put
That'll be
that,
something definite.
I will put that on our priority list for the budget.
That make sense, yeah? Because they have a date in it, I mean, if we're gonna,
I'll call Daryl Dixon about that and ask him what he thinks is the best way for funding the loan for that. He'll be our helper on that.
Will you take action tonight, or what do we need to
so
do?
we're still gonna have to take.
But we're still gonna keep
You still
pushing
gotta borrow
City High Smiths
$100,000.
to. So,
I'm just saying a
yeah,
rough.
the other
number.
100,000, we know we've talked, we've got a commitment from Delta Landing to do the Dogwood Hollow sewer. We have to have a little money, but not 130. So we could pull that one off because we know Dogwood Hollow is gonna be done by Delta Landing.
But that could be 2 or 3 years down the road.
It's gonna,
Potentially.
it is in their phase one, but yes, it still could be 2 or 3 years down the road. But that could be part of
I
what we
mean,
borrow if we don't get it, because we got to pull 1.9 off.
Yeah, I see it as a choice to simplify it. I mean, maybe I may be simple-minded, but
Squeaky wheel, man.
I see it as green tea is, we're fulfilling the legal liability that we have to the residents who have lived here for years and paid taxes here for years, or the water plant and elevated tank is more based around the promise of possible economic development, which could or could not come to fruition based on economic factors, if investors can, come through or whatever else. So, which one is more important? Which one do we want to make a priority? I mean, yeah, I understand there's a coin flip based on feelings that we may get the green tea one funded, but I don't know.
But you don't feel good about it.
I don't feel real good about it. However, I do feel good about our ability to get Capone to do green tea sewer.
Does, I guess, the Madison Lakes development and the other development, I don't know the name of it there, are they having any skin in the game in this deal as they're providing
They
any
don't at
funds?
this moment.
I think that's an avenue we could certainly address with that project.
Isn't that the project we was gonna try to do 70/30 or something like that?
Situation first.
They've kind of stopped negotiating for the moment. Haven't heard from them in a while.
Maybe leave that one off and renegotiate.
Whatever y'all want to do.
Anybody else have any thoughts about that? I mean, what does everybody else think?
One thing I said, we move green tea, we need to make a commitment that we're gonna do the loans.
Yeah, I agree. If we moved it, I would want it to be in the motion.
Yeah.
That's what I would propose, because there's still the 50%, in my mind, 50% chance we could get the STAG grant on it through Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith's office.
But either way, we're making the commitment that it's going to be paid for and done.
Yeah, one way or the other.
Okay.
I think this board's committed to doing the project, it's just where the funding comes from.
And if I understand those cap loans correctly, you kind of have to articulate where the money's going and those things.
Exactly
right?
where it's going, yeah. But this is
It
what
can
they love
only
to
be
do with
used
those,
for sewer and water, right?
pretty much.
How long does it take to get one?
They're pretty quick, they're usually within 5 or 6 months, 4 or 5 months. Yep. So we can start on working on that now. I'll call Daryl tomorrow,
What'd you say we'd know in October on the STAG?
October, November.
Okay.
That's when the bill actually will come
Timeline, all
out.
of them be coming along about the
Continued
same time.
resolution.
With the loan process and that, all of it be happening about the same time.
It is on, the green tea is on the list that's being presented to the committee in the Senate. But I just, there's quite a few of them being presented on the list, more than will be awarded.
Cindy Hyde-Smith is now appropriations.
She's a piece of that. She's the most powerful player on that committee, for sure, that we have, I should say. Not the most powerful player.
Appropriations Subcommittee, I
Yeah,
believe.
she's on that subcommittee. So if anybody were going to get it for us, it would be her.
You wanna do that, Bruce?
Yeah, but I mean, if we take green tea off, we still gotta take one more off.
Yeah, I'm saying, so if we do that, we gotta make the loan anyway.
Yeah, no,
Can we not agree to do green tea and then maybe borrow the money to do the economic development project and use that as a negotiating chip? Would that make sense with those developers? Maybe they can put a little skin in the game.
We could. Or just pull off, or lower the amount of the elevated water tank one by that much, and make that be their skin.
Yeah, just leave the green tea there and, because I don't think we're gonna get this, I mean, I'm pessimistic on that.
yeah, I am too.
I'd like to see that get done. I think that'd be a project that's needed.
I get asked every day.
Huh?
Get asked
No, you
every
don't.
day.
You don't ever get it. You live over there, don't you? You probably want that on your sewer, don't you?
That's right.
Just kidding. I mean, does that make sense to use that as negotiation with the developers there? I don't know. We could get a cap loan any time, right?
I think we could.
When they're ready to, because there's, like you said, there's nobody there now.
But those cap loans have a max, and I don't remember what the max is.
I don't either.
Not $2
Well,
million,
the other-
is it?
I mean, the other way to do it would look at a revenue bond, right?
Yeah, they're matching it. Yeah. That's right. yeah.
What was your question, Alderman Piper?
So the other way would be a revenue bond. Or do
Yeah, if you
think-
do water, you could do a revenue bond on water. Those are even cheaper usually.
Yeah, let's leave green tea on and, take the tank off.
And then we'll need to alert the senators, just pull it off the stag list, I guess.
Mike, do you have any input here? I mean, this is your projects here.
Like I say, what you pick is really up to y'all.
Doesn't really matter to you.
It doesn't matter to us. Obviously, if we do leave Green Tea Road, we do want to probably get Green Tea pulled off the stag list, because we'd hate to get awarded and then say we don't want it, which I don't think is any big deal.
But the frustration I have is we were told in a meeting, a year and a half ago, that we had that project to fund it, and it wasn't funded. I think there was some kind of miscommunication with the lobbyist or whatever, but
Yeah, we were
I don't have a lot
Oh,
of,
which, I'm sorry.
the Green Tea Road.
Green Tea Sewer Project, yeah.
I'm not sure if that gentleman worked for, did he work for their group or?
Yeah, we're talking about Carl Ray.
Oh.
I don't have a lot of faith in that we're gonna get it funded now.
A lot of times these things take several years. I mean, it's just the process. Now, I'm not sure what was said or how it was said, but it's not unusual for these things to be, to go before the senators 2, 3, 4 times sometimes. But as far as what projects you pick, I mean, obviously that's up to y'all. You definitely want to try to use as much of your ARPA funds as you possibly can. No, you don't want to leave any of those on the table.
Is there a chance that any of these could not be completed in the 3 years?
I don't think so. As a matter of fact, other than the downtown sewer and the Green Tea Road, I think all the other design is done, is it not, Mayor?
The water tank on Madison Lakes is almost designed. I don't think it's been approved by the health department yet. The Jaybird is under construction right now,
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
and the East Parkway is out for bids, I believe.
And then the Dogwood Hollow has been designed as well.
Right.
So you've got some of these projects that are already being constructed, and then some of them ready to hit the street. So those wouldn't be hard to do at all, and the sewer, it
Is
just
the
takes
Green
time
Tea
to-
project designed and ready to go? Is it shovel
No,
ready?
Green Tea
It's
Road
not.
is not.
It's not,
No.
okay.
Yeah.
But doing a sewer project within that 3-year period shouldn't be an issue. I mean, it'd be straightforward. But what I was gonna say, pulling either one of those off is gonna use, obviously, if you pulled Green Tea Road sewer off, you'd still have a deficit of $43,000. If you pulled Byhalia Road off, you'd have $83,892 that you still had left in ARPA funds that you haven't used. Their match, basically.
We'd be giving that back.
Be given that back, or they may let you roll it into something else. A lot of that really hadn't been decided yet, because obviously this is the first time they've gone through it, so. For this round, all the monies.
So
with the chances of the less money being rolled back, would be to take the Byhalia off then?
If you take Byhalia off, you've got $83,882 that you're not using of their
Take
money.
Byhalia off.
We would give it up.
It'd be better to take off the Green Tea Road.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
if you have some overages or whatever, those questions hadn't been answered. I don't know if you can roll it into another project, transfer projects. Right now, it is set aside for these particular projects.
If we took Green Tea Road off,
We'd
our
still
Green
have to
Tea
take-
Sewer and financed it ourselves, then we could just knock the other money we needed to knock off one of these and pay it ourselves.
Correct.
We could just lower the amount we're asking for on one of those others.
Yeah, I mean, you'd basically have $43,000 you'd have to make up.
Yeah.
Based on these estimates. All of these are estimates too.
Right.
So, and pricing seems to be leveling out some, but when all this stuff starts hitting the street, who knows?
Man, what you gonna do?
I don't care, as long as we just make a commitment on green tea, I don't care which way we go.
Yeah.
Make a commitment then to go the other way then. Make a commitment to do the loan.
Yeah. Commit to
Well,
doing
we're
a capital
gonna-
or some sort of loan on this green tea sewer.
We don't want to give money back.
That's right.
We want to use every dime we can get on every project we can,
I think,
Well, we'd still
I
have
think-
and I might even pick up an overage.
and then we
since these
could
are
just take
estimates anyway.
43,000 off one of these others and say we're gonna fund that ourselves through a loan
Yeah.
or whatever. I think this entire board, though, is committed to doing all these projects if we can, especially green tea is a number one project, so.
Correct.
Yep.
You gonna make a motion, Bruce?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to remove the green tea sewer and getting a bond for it to
Bond or a loan?
bond our loan, to go forward on that. And then I guess we'll have to lower one of these by $43,000.
And I'll work with Mike on that, if y'all are okay with that.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
That motion passes. Thank y'all. Next is the approval to move city ward polling places. So we got the final list in front of us of the ones that are available. Does everybody agree? I think we did this before, but Ward 1 and Ward 2 will be at the Gale Center.
I think the only one we have problem with was
3 and 4.
3 and 4.
Yep.
Everybody
I think
agreeing.
we're agreeing on Redemption Church, so we can make that motion and go on to the next thing if y'all want.
So our polling places would be Ward 1 and 2 at the Gale Center, Ward 3 and 4 at Redemption Church at 625 Highway 51 South, and Ward 5 and 6 at Colonial Hills Church on Monteith Avenue.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Thank y'all. Next is the approval of the MDOT addendum to the contract and authorization for me to sign. This had to be explained to me. Mitch Turner, the district engineer, sent it way back when they were building the Interstate 269. We had to give them
Some right away.
some right-of-way with the understanding they were going to give it back to us when they were done. So that's what they're doing. And they've amended it a little because they're retaining a little bit of right-of-way that they think they still need. But this is giving us back the stuff that was ours to start with, the road beds and stuff on McAville and Gilpole.
Can you put political signs in the right of way?
No. No signs in the right-of-way. We can't say political or any, just no signs in the right-of-way. Can I have a motion to authorize me to sign that addendum?
Here, I'll make the motion to authorize you to sign the addendum within MDOT.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next is the approval of the MDQ subaward agreement, modification number 1, and for me to sign that.
What is the deal? There was some, what is that?
I'm having to get to it real quick.
Diversity language or something?
Yeah, so this is the ARPA stuff, and they are just making sure that since this is federal money, they're having all the cities sign this to make sure we are complying with the federal laws around this money. So we will be agreeing to comply with it to get the funds we just discussed.
No questions, I'll make a motion to approve, to authorize you to sign the agreement there, 103-1 DW 5.15.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes.
Motion to adjourn, if nothing else.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. We are now adjourned.